High in the Andes, where the air is thin and the mountains scrape the sky, there are rivers unlike anywhere else on earth. Rivers that flow for days, then vanish overnight. No drought, no dam, no change in weather. Just water, gone, as if the ground swallowed it whole. Locals call them the breathing rivers, because they disappear and return in cycles like the land itself inhales and exhales. Tonight, we investigate one of the strangest real hydrological anomalies in the world: the disappearing rivers of the Andes. The first written record of the phenomenon comes from a 1535 expedition led by Spanish officer Diego de Sandoval. His men followed a narrow river through a high Andean valley. They camped beside it. During the night, the river's sound echoed through the valley. But at sunrise, silence. The entire riverbed was dry. Sandoval wrote, "It was as if the earth drank an entire river while we slept." The soldiers suspected sorcery. Locals simply shrugged and said, "The river walked away." For the Quechua people, these rivers are part of ancient lore. According to tradition, the land is alive, not metaphorically, literally. They say the mountains drink from the rivers when they are restless, and when the earth is calm, the water returns. One legend tells of travelers who followed a river that vanished beneath their feet. They heard gurgling from underground, like something enormous was breathing beneath the valley floor. The legend ends. The water remembers its path, but the path does not always stay open. In 1998, geologists studying water flow near Cerro Yura, Peru, witnessed the anomaly firsthand. A fast-flowing stream narrowed, slowed, and within minutes began sinking into the ground. They rushed to the dry section. No hole, no rockfall, no new channels. The river was gone. 24 hours later, it reappeared in the exact same place with the same flow rate. It was as if someone had flipped a switch beneath the earth. The Geological Survey labeled it non-persistent surface flow with unknown cause. In the Apurímac region, locals speak of a river that bends into the earth. Satellite images from 2007 show a river flowing normally, then vanishing into a narrow crack that wasn't present in older photos. No seismic activity was recorded that year. No landslide, no collapse. Yet the river dropped into the ground along a perfectly linear path, as if following a tunnel. Hydrologists could not locate where the water emerged. It didn't appear in nearby streams. It didn't raise groundwater levels. It didn't feed springs. The water simply disappeared. Some Andean rivers follow a strange cycle. They flow for 3 days, then vanish for 5, then return again, always in the same rhythm. Researchers mapped 14 such rivers between Peru and Bolivia. Even stranger, the cycles sometimes shift in sync across distances of 120 kilometers, as if connected by an unseen network underground. Locals insist that the rivers sleep and wake. Scientists admit they have no model to explain the synchronized disappearance of water on this scale. In 2014, a hydrological team placed sensors along a disappearing river near Puno. They detected an unusual phenomenon. Just before the river vanished, the sound of flowing water changed pitch, as if the ground beneath was hollowing out. The pitch dropped, and the river faded like a draining bathtub. No whirlpool, no depression, just a quiet withdrawal of flow. Then silence. Seismic sensors recorded a faint, low-frequency vibration beneath the riverbed. Not an earthquake, not machinery, a pulse, as if something below shifted position. Ground-penetrating radar studies in 2019 revealed something startling. Beneath some disappearing rivers are empty chambers, not caves, not fault lines, but smooth-walled voids, large enough to swallow millions of liters of water. One geophysicist said the chambers behave like underground lungs, breathing in water, breathing it out. But the biggest question remains: where does the water go next? No thermal change, no pressure wave, no measurable output. A vanishing act with no destination.
In 2020, researchers near Cusco tracked a disappearing stream using fluorescent, water-safe dye. They released it into the fading river at dusk. By morning, the riverbed was dry, as expected. But 40 hours later, the dye appeared, not in the nearest river, not downstream, but in a spring 27 kilometers away, on the opposite side of a mountain ridge. The water had crossed through solid stone, a path no known hydrological model supports. The spring's flow rate didn't increase, it simply changed color. The team wrote, "We do not know where the water travels, only where it chooses to show itself again." Shepherds from the village of Chosco described a strange event in 2016. A river that usually flows loudly through a plateau suddenly became silent, completely silent. No flowing, no trickling, no echo. When villagers reached the river, they found water still present, but unmoving. A perfectly still sheet of water stretched across the valley floor, as if time had stopped. Minutes later, the entire mass of water began lowering uniformly, like water disappearing down an invisible sink. By sunrise, the whole river was gone. Some anthropologists believe the Incas knew about disappearing rivers. In their architecture, they created systems that controlled water levels, sometimes routing streams into underground channels. One Inca tablet describes water that sleeps in the mountain and returns when called. Researchers now consider a possibility. The Incas may have tapped into natural underground chambers, the same ones modern radar is detecting. Perhaps ancient engineers knew how to manage the cycle. If so, then these vanishing rivers were not a mystery to them, but a resource. In 2011, residents of Quechua witnessed the opposite phenomenon. A dry riverbed that hadn't flowed in 8 years suddenly filled in minutes. Children playing in the valley saw water rushing toward them, not from upstream, but from beneath the ground, like a reversed waterfall. The entire river surged to full flow in under 90 seconds. No rain fell that week, no snowmelt occurred. After 2 days, the river vanished again. Geologists found no new channels, no pressure buildup, and no collapse cavities. It came, it left, it offered no explanation. When researchers plotted 62 known vanish points across Peru, a strange pattern emerged. They were not random. They followed a winding diagonal chain that perfectly aligned with a deep, ancient fault line, a fracture older than the Andes themselves. This suggests the rivers might be following a prehistoric underground system, a network of voids formed long before humans lived here. But here is the unsettling part. Some vanish points are located above solid granite, where voids shouldn't exist, and yet the rivers disappear. Hydrologists measuring air pressure over a vanish point in 2018 noticed a strange effect. Just before the water disappeared, the air pressure dropped locally by 1.5 millibars, as if the ground beneath was suddenly opening up. Not an earthquake, not sinkhole activity. A small, temporary vacuum. It lasted less than 3 minutes. When the pressure normalized, the river was already gone. Scientists have no explanation for a pressure drop localized to a few square meters. In 2022, researchers set up infrasound detectors near a disappearing river in Bolivia. Moments before the river sank, the devices recorded a low-frequency hum, below human hearing. A steady tone lasting 11 seconds. Not seismic, not wind, not mechanical. The pitch resembled resonance inside an empty cavity, as if huge underground chambers were vibrating, aligning with the river above, like tuning forks. When the sound ended, the river began to drain. After decades of observation, researchers proposed the most grounded yet the most unsettling theory. The rivers are part of a dynamic, shifting underground network that behaves like a single organism. A system that breathes in water, redirects it through ancient cavities, shifts pathways over time, and cycles between surface and deep flow. Not alive in a biological sense, but alive in the way a planet can be alive. Responsive, interconnected, and self-regulating. A hidden hydrological body beneath the Andes. If true, then these disappearing rivers are not anomalies. They are expressions of a system we barely understand.